Of Indians has a long history here in Western New York, and today they're holding a festival to celebrate their heritage. But their past is marred by tragedy, and this morning we take a look back at one of the darker chapters in that community.
The Allegheny Reservoir in Onoville attracts tourists from all across New York and Pennsylvania. Here you'll get great opportunities for fishing, camping, and boating. But its placid surface today belies the dark depths of its deep and troubled past.
The Seneca Nation of Indians are no stranger to broken promises from the United States. As with many First Nations across this country, treaties with the American government were routinely reneged upon, and always to the detriment of the Native American people. The Seneca Nation have lived in New York for thousands of years, and in the southern tier for hundreds of years. In the mid part of the 20th century, the Senecas lived on over 10,000 acres in what is now the Allegheny Territory. But that changed drastically in 1960. That's when the federal government and the Army Corps of Engineers began construction of the Kinzua Dam, which was built on the Allegheny River to help alleviate flooding downstream. To do this, over 600 people were forced from their homes in the name of progress. The Seneca Nation saw it otherwise. They believe it broke the Treaty of Canandaigua, signed in 1794 by President George Washington. The treaty granted the land to the Senecas in perpetuity.
They felt like it would, the United States wouldn't just honor George Washington's signature and, and not abide by what the treaty had said.
Unfortunately for the Senecas, the U.S. did not honor the treaty. Appeals went as far as President John F. Kennedy and were denied.
President Kennedy violated his oath of office. He betrayed the United States Constitution. He betrayed the law. Article 6 of the Constitution says treaties are the supreme law of the land. President Kennedy broke the law. Congress pushed the Kinzua Dam. Congressmen broke the law. We took it to the federal courts, and the federal court says, no, the Kinzua Dam's going to happen. Can't stop it.
Though there were alternative plans for the dam, they were all rejected, and the land was taken by eminent domain. The Seneca families were forced from their homes into new homes provided by the government. They were compelled to assimilate to modern American society. For people who were living off the grid, hunting and gathering, living a peaceful and fulfilling life, being torn from their lives was beyond traumatic.
We had everything we needed within the community. And if we didn't, someone would help every family that needed help.
Once they moved, you hear stories about people going back, even though their house wasn't there, just sitting on a blanket, in the yard, looking at the stars, remembering when. It was just too much of a change for them.
For Seneca counselor Steve Gordon, who was a teen when the dislocation happened, the conclusion to his former life came emphatically. His father couldn't stand the idea of someone else demolishing their home. He drove his family back to the old homestead and took matters into his own hands.
He took a can of kerosene and he went to the house, the front porch, and he started the fire. And it was a small home, and the fire traveled fast, and in minutes he came running back and sat in the car with us, and we all just sat there and watched the house burn.
The people were suddenly thrust into a fast-paced world that was alien to them. Things taken for granted in modern society like electricity and indoor plumbing, they viewed with amazement. Some may see this as an advancement, a thing to be thankful for. But for the displaced Senecas, the cost of assimilation to Western society was not worth it.
Well, I heard that criticism too in the city. They said, why are you guys complaining? You got everything that you could possibly need. You got a brand new home. Why aren't you guys happy? How does a home make somebody happy? My grandfathers weren't happy.
Nothing is really like it was then. And the freedom, the cost of freedom, I think, is a little bit different now than it was then. And the freedom we had was enjoyed by everyone, not just a few.
It's been over 50 years since the Seneca people were forced from their land. Though the wound still runs deep, the nation, as it always has persevered and remained strong. Their culture has survived, and they are an economic power in Western New York. Most have discarded the bitterness of living through such a miscarriage of justice, but they will never forget. Each year they hold a day of remembrance to honor the spirits of those who passed during that time and to make sure that such a tragedy never happens again.
We need to promise never to let it happen in any form again. I've made that promise to my father, and I've heard other sons promise their fathers. It was something that was taken very seriously, that we hold today as our guiding principle.
Up to this point, over 200 some years, they still haven't found any treaty that we've broken.
Respect for our elders, respect for the Mother Nature, that caretaker status that we've taken, that's a value that we still treasure. So we still have those values. After 50 years, we're still here.
Reporting from the Seneca Nation, I'm Terry Belke.